Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano. Today is Monday. I have 3 bottle reviews coming at you. I really didn't know exactly how I was going to do this, but I did know that I wanted to do this particular lineup. I'm going to be talking about store picks today, what they are, and are they actually worth pursuing. Today's bottles, this is not a sponsor in any way. You can insert any store pick that you want, but I have 3 Trevor's picks, Trevor's Liquors. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and Trevor's Liquors has 4 locations in the valley, and I wanted to showcase 3 of the bottles that I got from them. I like all 3 of these bottles, and I thought that this would be a good time to not only review them, but also talk a little bit about store picks. So like always, I'm going to pour them, nose them, taste them. I'm going to talk about store picks, and then I'm going to give each one of them an individual score. I don't want this video to be like 45 minutes long, so I'm going to skip the part where I add water to them, and I'm just going to jump into the scores themselves. The order in which I'm going to be drinking this, I'm going to do the Russell's Private Barrel Select first, and then I'm going to jump into the Dream Spirits selection, and I'm going to finish off with the Horse Soldier 10-year. This is a private barrel selection or barrel select, and it's a hazmat. So I'm going to put this one off to the side, and this Spirits one has those glass corks or the glass stoppers. You just got to push up with your thumbs on both sides and then give it a little pop, and it should open up. I'm going to do this one second. So what I've got here is, I think, a good variety of what store picks have to offer. Now, before I get going, I do want to just read really quick what a store pick is, and I just used AI. So it says, a store pick in whiskey refers to a single barrel of whiskey specifically chosen by a retailer, bar, or other group, rather than being part of the distillery regular blended batches. This means each store pick will have a unique flavor profile based on the individual barrel. These selections are often identified with special labels or stickers indicating their uniqueness. Once I actually get into tasting these, halfway through, I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of picks that you can get. So I'm going to start out with the Russell's Reserve Private Barrel Selection. This is a 10-year offering. It's from Camp Nelson E, floor number 5. Distilled 5/7/13, and it was dumped on 9/27/23, bottled 10/5/23. And this is barrel number 22-0997. And it was picked specifically to be a little bit different than a 10-year. It has more proof, and we're looking at 110 proof. So the Russell's Reserve, this Private Barrel Selection, is very loud. I get some cherry, like a really dark cherries, along with a good saturation of those bourbon flavors, the brown sugar, the caramel, and the vanilla. Again, I've mentioned this multiple times. I think bourbon has a very narrow window of what you're going to get as far as flavors. It's just the intensity that each of those flavors comes out with that make it unique. And this, again, is just screaming out of the glass with complexity, depth, and character, more so than just your standard 10-year. I do get a little bit of spice, a little bit of oak in the spice. I always contribute to a black pepper, a white pepper, or like a spicy ginger. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing on the palate. Very intense. Depth of flavor here is the key. I would not say that this is off profile from a Russell's. I still think you get that Wild Turkey Russell's kind of vibe to it, but it's the depth and the intense flavors that set this apart. Everything that I'm getting on the nose is coming through on the palate as well. It hits with a pretty good ABV punch. It glides over the palate and just intensifies in flavor as it goes from the arrival to mid-palate to finish. Strong with the vanilla, strong with the sweet. You can throw in tobacco and chocolate as well. It has a very vanilla cream soda, milk chocolate kind of a vibe to it. I like this quite a bit. Now, moving on to the Dream Spirits. This is a combination of Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee. We're looking at 40% 10-year Kentucky, 40% 9-year Indiana, and 20% 19-year Tennessee. The proof on this, we're looking at 61.5% ABV. It's a small batch straight bourbon whiskey. Again, Trevor's pick. This is $149.99. And once I bought this, I realized, why would I go with something like this when I can just do a barrel, like an individual barrel batch bourbon? I think batch number 28 is 10 years, and it's made up of basically the same thing: Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. I actually talked to the people at Trevor's when they were talking about what they actually did for this. We're looking at Virginia. The team, or this barrel pick team, went down to Virginia, or went down to Dream Spirits, and went through the whole experience picking this individual barrel or this individual pick itself. I don't know if this was, again, in a single barrel, or if these were samples that they had on a table of some sort, and they went through and they tasted individual small batches, and they settled on this one specifically. If by chance anybody from Trevor's is watching this, let us know exactly how the pick process went when you went to this Dream Spirits place and made this pick. All right, on the nose. Yeah, I have to say that this is much less intense, or it is not as intense. It's not bursting with flavors and notes like the Russells. I get more of a strawberry bubblegum rather than cherry and spice. And I'm just throwing this out there. I think this is definitely going to be 19-year-old Dickel. And usually what I get is a Flintstone vitamin, or one of those orange bear aspirin chewables that you get. I think that's a popular note that you get from Dickel. Not a whole lot of spice. This does not smell as well-rounded or as balanced as the Russells. Still very good. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. This is much more ethanol forward. I do get blasted with a lot of spice and oak. And then quickly following that, you end up with bourbon notes, but they're not as saturating or as intense or as deep complex as the Russells are. Each individual note on that first sip seems to be competing for seniority. I'm getting a little bit of oak. I'm getting a little bit of spice. I get that strawberry note, and they're mixing, but they're identifying themselves individually as it's going from the arrival to mid-palate to finish. It doesn't glide across the tongue in a well-rounded, put-together way. It's still, don't get me wrong, it is still very good, but I like the Russells more. Yeah, very enjoyable. So let me go ahead and move on to the Horse Soldier. Now this one, I really don't have anything to compare it to. It's 140.8 proof, which if I'm reading this right, this is 70.4% ABV. It's non-chill filtered. I'm not sure of the mash bill, but it says on the back here, proudly crafted by U.S. Army Green Beret veterans using the finest quality all-American ingredients. And I do believe they were in Ohio. I think they were doing Middle West, but this one says that it's distilled and bottled for Horse Soldier bourbon in Somerset, Kentucky. But I don't know if that means that this is distilled in Somerset or if it's distilled for Horse Soldier, which is in Somerset. If anybody knows, please let me know in the comments down below. So I remember having this for the first time and thinking, there's no way this is hazmat. We did a whole kind of tasting out at my brother-in-law's house and my sister, John, and Mary Bridget. We were out there, and I'm like, none of us have had hazmat before. And it was crazy. I was thinking this was going to light us up. And when we tasted it, and I'm going to taste it right now, and I'll maybe get the same exact reaction. Oh, that's it? I thought it was going to be more than that. You know, the word hazmat and the way people talk about it, I thought it was going to light us up, and it didn't. This drink's much lower in proof than the 140. I get a tremendous amount of oak, and there's a certain level of cherry. I wouldn't say that it is as dark cherry as the Russells, but it comes across as cherry that has been soaked in oak. Good amounts of pepper, and the spice, again, could lean towards pickled ginger. Like if you have sushi and you have ginger at sushi and you bite on that, there is a spiciness in there along with a pepper note that I would say comes together rather nice, and definitely does not drink at 140 proof. I don't know if what I'm getting on the palate is because of the proof, but there is more oak bitterness on the tongue and all the way back towards the finish, and that's pretty intense, and I'm not getting that with either of these. Now, the price on the Horse Soldier was $119.99. I don't have anything else to compare it to because I don't have anything that is hazmat. The closest thing that I can compare this to, and they have completely different flavor profiles, would be a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. Depending on the batch that you get, those can be pretty high at times. And then if I didn't mention it, the Russell's Private Barrel Selection, this was $80. So we have a good wide variety of prices. And if I'm not mistaken, a single barrel pick or a pick will be a little bit more elevated in price than your standard offering. Now, let's get into a little bit about what a store pick is. Based on what I had mentioned, these are curated by the distillery, and there are different ways that a pick can happen. A distillery can just call up a store and say, hey, we have this pick for you. Do you want us to slap your name on it? We can bottle it and send it out. That, I think, would be the one that I would shy away from the most, because nobody at the store is really tasting it. They're just going off of what the distillery is saying that they have. And once it gets to the store, it may not necessarily be to the liking of the customer base or even the people that will typically do a pick for the store. Another way a pick can occur is a distillery or a non-distiller producer can send samples to the store. The store, whoever is in charge of their pick program, will go through and taste the samples and then send a message back to the distillery and say, sample A, B, or C is what we like, and they'll go ahead and bottle it, slap a sticker on it, and ship it to the store. And I do believe there is also a process where somebody from the distillery, a representative, can come out to the store and actually run a sample pick at the store, so nobody really has to travel to the distillery. They can do their pick, and then that information will stay with the representative. They can communicate with the distillery, get it picked, get it bottled, put the label on it, and send it out to the store. And I think the last part would be a pick where a group of people, a select few, would actually travel to the distillery or a non-distiller producer, and they will have curated specific barrels, and each one will go through a specific tasting process. I think they vote, or the group will vote on specific barrels, eliminate some other barrels, and eventually settle in on a specific barrel to put their name on. If you've been on a pick and you are affiliated with a specific store or group, let us know what store or group you belong to and leave some comments in the comments down below. I do know that a lot of YouTubers will do their picks and then they have them pushed through a specific store, or they will offer them up to their Patreon members through a specific retailer. Don't know how that whole process works because, again, I've never been on a pick, but it looks like it's a whole lot of fun. All right, so I think that is the gist of picks. If I've missed anything, let me know in the comments down below if you can fill in any information or any gaps in my knowledge of what an actual pick is and how they go about doing them. As far as scores go, I am going to rate these, I don't want to say in order, but I like the Russells the most. I'm going to put this at a 4.2, maybe even a 4.25. I like this quite a bit. I think it will definitely compete with the Russell's 13. I actually have that in my blind sample. So when that pick comes up, or when I actually choose that out of my samples, it's going to be interesting how that goes. The next, I would say that I like the Horse Soldier, the 10-year, more than the Dream Spirit. The Horse Soldier, I would say that bitterness on the finish, the mid palate, I'm not particularly I don't particularly care for that. I think it's a little bit too bitter for my taste, but I do like everything else about this. Even though it's hazmat and is drinking lower proof than the actual proof it is, I'm going to give this one a 3.8. And again, comparison-wise, I really don't have anything else to compare this to. As far as age goes, yes, it can compare to a 10-year, but proof, I don't have anything but a single barrel proof Jack Daniels. And they're completely different flavor profiles. And then that leaves me with the Dream Spirit. As far as the Dream Spirit's score goes, even though I do like this quite a bit, I'm not going to put this into the higher tier of anything that I've picked from them. I'm not exactly happy about the price, but I would say that the flavors hold up, the finish holds up. I like the proof. I'm going to give this a 3.75. And my comparison again is for Barrel Bourbon. They have the Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee blending aspects, but their blending team, I believe, is pretty spot on. Barrel picks, or picks in general, it's nice to actually have somebody that your palate aligns with. And if you're in the community and you're actually speaking to the people that physically went and did the pick, you get far more information from just a barrel being sent to a store and the person trying to sell it to you has really no idea or no firsthand knowledge of how the pick was actually done. So it's important to talk to the people that you're buying these picks from and see what they actually did, if they actually had their hands in on the picking process. And that way you can get it right from the horse's mouth about everything that went on and why they chose the things that they did. And once you've aligned with somebody's palate, you can actually start trusting their picks. And do me a favor, drop a comment and let me know if there is a specific YouTuber out there, is there a specific store out there that your palate aligns with that you would be able to refer people to. If you've gone on a barrel pick, and again, if I've missed anything, let me know how those picks actually work, if I'm in the ballpark of the description. And if you are interested in having an opportunity to get 2-ounce samples of any of these, I do have a July giveaway happening. All of the rules to that giveaway are in the description below. Unfortunately, it is US participants only. I can't ship anything overseas. Every $5 donation to the channel will get you 1 entry into the giveaway. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it today. So wherever you were at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it. Until the next time, we'll talk to everybody later. Bye.